welcome to you. Thanks for joining me. I might find myself repeating a few things here as more people jump on. But here I am from the music gym. My name's Pez, and I'm going to be doing a bit of an online guitar lesson to the best of my ability without this being super interactive, but me just talking about how to play a certain song and you hopefully following along. If you do have any questions throughout the whole thing, I'll try and be really attentive with looking at the screen as I always am and answering as I go along. If you just want to put all the questions to the end as well, that's fine. I'll leave a little spot at the end that you can just ask some bulk questions. Hopefully the whole thing only takes about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, something like that. Little bit of an advanced one that I'm going to be doing, or intermediate I should say. We can find a way to simplify it as best we can depending on everyone's ability. But going to be teaching Blackbird by the Beatles, a classic, and deconstruct it into the parts that it is and decide what we're going to try and learn and what I'm going to try and teach you. While there's a few more of you on, I'm just going to reintroduce myself. My name's Pez. I'm from the music gym. We do adult group and private music classes, normally in the studio in Melbourne CBD, hopefully soon again in the Melbourne CBD in the studio. We have a great studio with great guitars, great electric pianos, and we do vocal classes as well. For the time being though, we've sort of readjusted our model to be online, be doing private lessons online through Zoom and through the webcam and interactive like that. And we're actually just running a bit of a new lockdown sale on our private classes at the moment. We're doing a 20% reduction of our private session pack, our 5 private session pack. It's normally $340 for 5 45-minute lessons. With a 20% reduction, it's now only $270. It's $27 per 45 minutes of a private lesson. No, it's not that, it's double that. $54 per private lesson. Hope my math's right. This is a very weak trait of mine, having bad maths. But 20% reduction, lockdown sale. So while you're bored at home, if you've got a guitar around, you've always said to yourself you wanted to learn guitar, or you used to come to our classes and you're missing that, and you feel like you're getting rusty with your guitar skills, jump on that sale. It's really good money. I've been doing a ton of lessons online. They've been really fun. They've been rewarding for me. They've been rewarding for people that have been learning as well. And they're obviously really, the fact that they're online is they're really flexible. You choose the time that you want to be doing it and you organize it with us. And we can do it same time each week, or it can change every week depending on your schedule. Okay. Now that's out of the way. I'll repeat at the end in case any of you have any questions. Throughout all of this as well, I'm going to be trying to be as attentive as possible to this little screen that tells me what you're all saying and you're all waving at me. I'll try and wave back while I'm teaching. So if you do have questions, throw them my way, or you can just throw all the questions at the end and I'll leave a little space at the end, maybe 5 minutes or something, to be able to answer some questions, whether they be about the music gym, the lessons we do, or the song I'm teaching, or just guitar in general. But throw them my way, say hello, I'll say hello back. As I said just before, the song that I'm going to try and teach for you tonight is Blackbird by the Beatles, super famous song, and one of Paul McCartney's best compositions. I just played it for you all. It's going to be a slightly more intermediate song to learn. If you're a beginner, you can try your best. I'll try my best to simplify it, but we'll get into that. Again, I'm just going to play it one more time for you all to familiarize yourself if you just joined on, and I'm only going to play a little part of it so that we can break down what the main parts of the song are and decide what we're going to learn. The main part that we're going to learn is only 2 parts, and they happen pretty quickly. I guess you can sort of call them the verse and some sort of second part of the verse or pre-chorus or something like that. I'll tell you while I'm playing it though. I'll identify what they are. Here it goes. Hopefully you can hear this, but I will play it on the guitar as well, so you know. Okay, that's enough. It's pretty involved, so we're going to learn those 2 parts. Hopefully, we're going to start with the first part. If we have time to go to the second part in great detail, I'll do that. It's a little bit harder, so we'll see how we go. And if I don't get there and there's still a good demand for it, well, I can try and pick it up next week, or I can do it in another lesson, or maybe you can get private lessons and I'll teach you how to play the song if you're ready for it. So like I was saying when we were just playing that song, there's sort of an intro part that is sort of also the verse where the vocals come in, where Paul starts singing, and then there's, I guess, a second part of the verse as well. That isn't the actual chorus, because there's a whole other part of the song as well, which is the chorus. But that first part sounds like this. Tell me if I need to reposition this camera as well. I just want you all to be able to see equally me, but equally the guitar. Probably going to be going back and forth the whole time. Close up and zoom out. So this first part of the verse, or the intro as well, that's sort of the same thing. So that's the first part of something that we're going to learn. And then there's a second part of the verse, or this pre-chorus. I guess I'm just going to refer to it now as second part of the verse. Definitively, it's now second part of the verse. Ooh. Okay, so you can obviously tell that this second part of the verse is a lot more involved, it's longer, there's a lot more movement going on, there's a lot of different chords, a lot of different places to put your fingers. The first part of the verse is relatively simple compared to that, so we're going to start there. So breaking it down into those two parts, I'm going to start with just the beginning, just the intro, or the first part of the verse. Got you, Tom. Gonna move back a little bit. All good things to tell me. I want to make sure you can all see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm gonna start there. I'm gonna break this intro part, or the first part of the verse, down into further two different parts. We have this part. That's gonna be our first part of the intro, or first part of the verse. And then here's our second part of the verse. So first part, second part. First of all, what I should say about this song is that most of you, especially if you've been beginning or you've been learning in an orthodox sort of rock or pop kind of way of playing guitar, you've learned to use a pick. In this song, we don't use a pick. We do what's called fingerstyle, which means that we use all of our fingers. Mostly though, just our thumb and these three fingers. You don't really use your pinky very often in fingerstyle, or in most approaches of fingerstyle. So, forgo the pick. And let's start learning. I'm going to actually start, maybe contrarily, by teaching you the second part of verse 1, or the intro, the first part of the verse. The second part of the first part of the verse. I hope you can all follow me on this one. Which sounds like this. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here so I can try and teach you it. And then we'll find out where we need to put that in relation to the rest of the intro and first part of the verse. So like I said, we've got our fingerstyle, so I want you to just, for now, just put your fingers over the strings. You don't need to know exactly where you're going to put them, but just know that you're going to be using your fingers to pick individual strings. So have them here at the ready. For your left hand, or if you're a left-handed guitarist, this would be your right hand. Take everything I say opposite, if that's the case. I want you to put your first finger onto the 10th fret of the 5th string. The 5th string means the second one down. Okay, so the top one's the 6th one, second one down is the 5th string, and the 10th fret. That might just mean that you need to count up all the way from back here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and go to 10. A nifty way that you can do it, if you know that you're trying to find a high number like that, is that these double dots that are probably on most guitars, can you see a few double dots there? That always, universal in guitars, signifies the 12th fret. So if you need to find the 10th fret, you just go 2 back from there. On the 5th string, it should sound like this once you get it. Always sort of use your ears to try and match what you're hearing. That's another way that you can make sure you've gotten what you need to do. So your first finger is there. Okay, we're going to hold that down while also taking, I don't mind here whether you use your 4th finger or your 3rd finger, whichever one feels easiest to make this stretch for you. For me, I'm going to choose to use my 4th finger, my pinky. You're going to take your 4th finger and put it on the 12th fret, that's where the double dots lie, of the 2nd string. And the 2nd string means the second one up. So the very bottom one is the 1st string, second one's going to be up here. Shouldn't need to count for this one as well, because when you hear the number 12, you can always just think looking from the view of, you above the guitar like this, you're going to see two double dots. Oh, not two double dots. You can see one double dots or two dots. That's the 12th fret. You can always know that every time you hear the 12th fret. So first finger's on the 10th fret of the 5th string. Sounds like this. Third finger or fourth finger, depending on which stretch you can make, is on the 12th fret of the 2nd string. Should sound like this. Now, there's a little bit of a pattern that we're going to learn on how we need to play a certain amount of notes. It's called a finger picking pattern, and it's going to sound like this. If we really slow it down, so to learn that pattern, I need to tell you where I want you to put your fingers, your right hand fingers, on the strings and which strings to play. So have your thumb on the 5th string up here. That should be the same string that your first finger is on. Thumb is on the 5th string. Just rest it there for now. It's fine if it just sits there and rests there. I want you to take your second finger, this middle finger here, and put it on the 2nd string. That's the second one up. That's also the same string that this pinky or your 3rd finger should be on, the one that's on the 12th fret. So you've got your first finger now on the 5th string, your thumb on the 5th string of the right hand, and your second finger is on the 2nd string. Just above that 2nd string as well, we're going to take our first finger, our index finger, and put it on the 3rd string. That's the string directly just above the 2nd string there. Okay, so now we've got our thumb on the 5th string. Like here, I don't need you to play it right now, but just have it resting there. Your second finger is touching the 2nd string. That's the second one high from the bottom. And your first finger is just above that on the 3rd string. Okay? And with your left hand, you've still got your first finger and your 3rd or your 4th finger on the 10th and the 12th frets. Okay. One of the learning curves of fingerstyle is that you sort of need to learn, and it's going to take a bit of practice and a lot of accuracy with enough practice to be able to plant your fingers on the right strings. I'm talking about your right hand now. Plant your fingers on the right strings and say to yourself that now that those fingers are on those strings, they're the only ones that those fingers get to play. So my finger will pretty much always, whenever I need to play this 2nd string, my second finger will be doing it. Whenever I need to play this 3rd string, my first finger will be doing it. And whenever I need to play this 5th string, my thumb will be doing it. That rule softly changes throughout the song, but it's the general concept, sort of the fundamental concept of fingerstyle. You try not to move your fingers very much, or you only move them when you really feel like you need to reach a new note or a new chord shape or something like that. So hopefully you've still got your fingers in this position. A quick little recap. The first finger is on the 10th fret of the 5th string, left hand this is. 4th finger is on the 12th fret of the 2nd string. And with this, I should note as well, I really want you to try and be using the very tips of your fingers and arch your hand up. This is not really something you should be doing, where your elbow is quite recessed back towards your rib cage. I want you to really sort of be trying to come into this from the top, arching from the top. And then our right hand, we've got our thumb on the 5th string, just resting there for now. Second finger on the 2nd string, just resting there. The first finger on the 3rd string, just resting there. Now the pattern I'm going to try and teach you, that's eventually going to sound like this. Now remember, that pattern is I'm just going to dictate which fingers I want you to play, because we've already learned that the fingers that are on those strings don't change. You don't move your finger to a new string. They're always sitting on that string. So whenever we play the first finger, it's always the 3rd. Second finger is always the 2nd string. Thumb's always the 5th string. So I'm going to dictate the fingers that I want you to play, and that's going to be the fingerstyle pattern. The way this is going to go, while you're holding this, we're not going to move our left hand. We're going to play the thumb and the 2nd finger together at the same time. It's going to sound like that. Thumb and 2nd finger at the same time. Okay, that's the first part of it. Playing them together. And then, after that, I want you to play the thumb, first finger, and thumb. Thumb, first finger, thumb. Because those fingers aren't changing strings, they're always playing the strings that you've designated these fingers to. That's going to be 5th string, 3rd string, and 5th string. So now we have thumb and 2nd finger together. Thumb, 1st, thumb. There's one little tail end to that finger pattern. After we go thumb, 1st, thumb, we're going to end with going 2nd finger, 1st finger. Thumb, 1st, thumb, 2nd finger, 1st finger. Let me give you the whole thing. Not moving my left hand again. Thumb and 2nd finger together. Thumb, 1st, thumb, 2nd finger, 1st finger. So let me start real slow and show you how it should sound, really slowly. Thumb, 1st, thumb, 2nd, 1st. Going a little bit faster. A little faster. A little faster still, and probably the speed that you need to play for the song. Once you start learning a lot of fingerstyle and getting towards in the depths of fingerstyle guitar and that technique, you'll find that this specific fingerstyle pattern, the sequence in which you're playing your fingers, is quite a common one in this style of music. There obviously are quite a few, but this is a really common one. As common as you could say with a strumming pattern that down, 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 up is quite a common strumming pattern that happens a lot. This is a very common fingerstyle pattern. And helpful to this song, although it feels like we're just randomly playing our fingers where we need to play them, this is going to be the fundamental fingerstyle pattern of the song. So if you can land this with enough practice, it's just going to carry you through the whole song, because the fingerstyle pattern doesn't really change. At least the complex, what you could call the complex fingerstyle pattern, is the same. That's what it is. This is not something that I can just tell you to do and you can just get. It's something that you're going to have to practice enough and enough until the sequence and the muscle feeling of you playing these fingerstyle, these notes in this sequence is going to feel really natural to you. It's going to take a lot of practice to get to that stage. Just going to recap it one more time for you, and then I'm going to show you how that fits in relation to the whole rest of this first part of the verse, or the intro. So we've got our first finger on the 10th fret of the 5th string. Should sound like this. That's first finger, 10th fret, 5th string. I've got my 4th finger. You can use your 3rd if you want. I don't mind which one you use, whichever one's comfortable for you. On the 12th fret of the 2nd string. We're also going to be playing this 3rd string, but there is no finger on it. Okay, it's just an open string, so it's resonating through the whole of the guitar. And I'm going to use my thumb, my 1st finger, and my 2nd finger. They're going to be resting on the 5th string, the 3rd string, and the 2nd string. They sound like this. That's my thumb. That's my 1st finger. That's my 2nd finger. The fingerstyle pattern without moving my left hand. Thumb and 2nd together. Thumb and 2nd together. Thumb, 1st, thumb. 2nd, 1st. That's me dictating. I'm detailing the fingers that you're using, not the strings that you're playing. Thumb and 2nd. Thumb, 1st, thumb. 2nd, 1st. If I were to dictate what strings I want you to play, it's going to be 5th and 2nd. Those two strings together. 5th, 3rd, 5th, 2nd, 3rd. Left hand isn't moving. Not something that you're going to get overnight. It takes a lot of practice, but like I said, it's really worth it, because if you're into this song or you're into fingerstyle, this is a fingerstyle pattern that you're going to see again and again and again. It's just going to keep coming back. Okay, how does that fit into the entirety of the intro, or the first part of the verse? Well, the first part of the verse, or the whole intro and the first part of the verse, sound like this. And again, can hear that part that we just learned and how it fits in. Now we need to learn this first part, which is that. It's just that. We just got that part. So how do we play this one? It's going to be a little bit simpler, and that's why I decided to put this second. Oh, I lost my camera there for a sec. Hold on. If anyone has any confusions about this as well, or I'm not explaining this as best as you think I could, do tell me, and I will try and clarify anything or reiterate anything that I need to. Okay, this first part of the first part of the verse. We're getting confusing now. It's getting pretty meta. But follow along if you can. Okay, it sounds like this. Okay? Pretty simple when we break it down. What we're doing with our right hand, our finger style hand, our finger picking hand, is we're playing 2 strings at the same time. And then with our first finger, we're playing 1 string. And then we're doing it again for a new chord. Then we're going to change chords, do the same thing. First and thumb and second finger. And then our first finger again, just alone. And then we're going to do it one more time when we change another chord. I'll tell you a little bit more in depth about what strings you're specifically going to play, but it's just going to be first and second at the same time, and then after them, your first finger comes in and plays a note on its own. We change chords, we do it again. First and second together, first finger comes, thumb and second together, and your first finger comes in and plays just a single note. The first chord shape that I want you to sort of finger out with your left hand is going to look quite a bit like a G, and all it requires you to do is to take your third finger and put it on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. 3rd fret being 1, 2, 3, 3rd finger being 1, 2, 3, this one, and the 6th string being the very top one, the lowest one up here. 3rd finger's on the 3rd fret, should sound like this. Make sure you got it right. Okay, like I said, the finger style that we're using with our right hand, the finger pattern, it's much simpler this time. First and second together, thumb and second together, keep saying the wrong thing here, thumb and second together, which doesn't actually get a fingering very often, but I'm just going to have to keep remembering to say thumb. Thumb and second together, first finger coming in. So I want you to take, while you've got your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret here, and that's all you need to do, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, your thumb is going to sit on the 6th string, and your second finger on the 2nd string, the same place it was before, and your first finger on the 3rd string, just above your second finger, same place it was before. Like I said, we're playing thumb and second together, and then your first finger's coming in and playing the 3rd string. You'll probably find one of the challenges is being able to coordinate your thumb and your second finger to actually play these at the same time. And until you practice enough, they might come out quite audibly at different times, and that's what gives the impression of it being a little bit sloppy. But just practice it. Try and coordinate that these move in sequence. Your thumb and your second finger move in sequence. So both those notes happen simultaneously at the same time. Thumb, second finger, and first finger onto the 3rd string there. All I've got on my left hand here is just my 3rd finger on the 3rd fret there. We're going to change chords now to a different chord. We're going to use the same fingering pattern, but our left hand fingers need to change. It's going to be a really easy one. You're just going to take your first finger, pull your 3rd finger off, you don't need it anymore. You're going to take your first finger and put it on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. That's the second one up. This bottom one is the 1st string, 2nd string is the one above it, the 1st fret is the first box that you can see. First finger being your index finger. Should sound like this if you just play that one string, that one fret that your first finger's on. Should sound like that. What are we doing with our right hand? That's the whole chord as well, by the way, so that's the chord change. With our right hand, we're doing the same thing, thumb and second finger together, and first finger coming in afterwards. The only difference now is that our thumb was on the 6th string before, it needs to drop down to the 5th string now. Our second finger and our first finger stay in the same place. So thumb's down on the 5th string, second finger is on the 2nd string, first finger is on the 3rd string. Thumb and second finger together, first string's coming in, first finger's coming in, sorry, for the 3rd string. Should sound like that. That's what my left hand looks like, just pressing that one fret down. Thumb and second together, first finger comes in for the 3rd string. So those two things together with that one chord change, third finger on the third fret there, sixth string, just thumb and second together, first in there afterwards, down to this chord change of just our first finger on the first fret of the second string. That's me taking my thumb down to the fifth string now, not playing the sixth string. One more chord change as well, and then that sort of completes our whole intro and first part of the first verse once we stitch those two things that we've just learnt together. The next one's slightly more difficult, but we can handle it. You're going to take your first finger and put it on the second fret of the fifth string. First finger's index finger. Second fret, second box, 1, 2, fifth string, sixth string's the top one, so fifth one is the one just below it. Should sound like this. Okay, again, really using the tips of your fingers, you want to come in from above, you don't want to come in from the side, so then you have a lazy finger touching all the other strings. Try and come in from above, so you have a nice arch. You can see this little arch, that's a good arch. And then, you're going to take your fourth finger or your third finger, I don't mind here. You can use your fourth finger or your third finger, whichever's comfortable for you. And put it on the third fret of the second string. Second string being the second one from the bottom, because the bottom one's the first one, so the second one's up here. Third fret, box 1, 2, 3. I'm using my fourth finger. You can use your third if you want, but fourth finger's the pinky. So first finger's on the second fret of the fifth string. Fourth finger's on the third fret of the second string. We're doing the same thing with our right hand. That's all we need to do with our left hand for this chord. We're doing the same thing with our right hand. Okay, it's the same strumming or finger style sequence pattern that I mentioned. First and second are together, and then your first is coming in afterwards to play the note. So thumbs on the fifth string, second fingers on the second string, first fingers on the third string, thumb and second together, first finger for the third string, play it alone. Left hand doesn't move. Okay, that's one sort of easy part of this song that you can sort of derive, is that once you make a chord change, all of the action happens with your right hand, depending on the different notes. It sounds like all these notes are going on and like, oh my gosh, he must be moving his fingers like this, but it's really just hold a chord in a certain position and then let all of these fingers do the talking in different strings that you're playing. Then change to a new shape and let all these fingers do the talking. So those three first chords that we just looked at, third finger on the third fret, sixth string, down to this one, first finger on the first fret, second string, then up to this one, first finger on the second fret, fourth finger on the third fret of the fifth string and the second string, respectively. Okay, and it's just one instance of this. It's just thumb and second finger play together, and then the first finger comes in, plays the third string, and then we move on to a new chord. We change the chord, so it happens pretty quickly. Okay? Sounds this fast. If this is a bit of a challenge for you, I'll show you how this stitches together with that first part, which was actually the second part that we learned just before. But if this is a bit of a challenge for you, and even if you're a real beginner and you're looking at this song, you're like, I can't do this. This is way out of my division. Just try and separate the problem into something that you think you can do. So, for example, there's a few hard things going on. There's the chord transitions, which are pretty difficult. If that's too hard for you, don't worry about that right now. Just do the fingerstyle pattern. If this is your first time doing fingerstyle techniques, then maybe you should just jump onto that and just try and do that. So just sit with the one chord. For example, your third finger on the third fret of the sixth string. This is sort of like the G chord. And just try and play this in repeat. And get a little bit more comfortable with it. Keep playing it. Don't worry so much about timing. Just try and get the techniques down so that you're actually doing technically the right thing with your right hand. Thumb and second finger playing together on the sixth string and the second string. Your first finger coming in on the third string there. Just try and play that and repeat. Maybe do that for 5 minutes, or do that for a day, or do that for a week. When you feel comfortable, introduce a chord change. It might be really hard for you. If it is really hard for you, it's no good trying to accomplish these 7 different technical things all at once. Break them down into simpler things. So you've landed that after 5 minutes or a week, however long it takes you. Introduce the chord change to the first chord change. Then comes the second chord change, or the third chord. Okay, once you feel like you're pretty confident with that, it's time to stitch together this thing that we learned. So again, I'll just play it how it all sounds so that you know how it should sound when you're trying to stitch it together. It's going to sound like this. At least that's the speed of the song. I'm going to slow it down quite a bit now. One more time at that speed. Alright, I'll go in depth now, sort of a little bit of a close-up about how we stitch these two things together. Again, if you have any questions, or I'm going too fast, or I need to reiterate something, I have no idea, because I'm talking to a camera. So just write it down at the bottom, and I will try to respond to it. Otherwise, save a good question for me at the end, and I'll try and mention that. Okay, we just tackled this part. Look at my right hand doing it. This first part that we learnt, all the way up here, it seems pretty extreme because it's like we were just down here on the guitar and now we're all the way up here. That's how the song goes. So it's going to take a pretty quick jump and as best as you can, a pretty accurate jump to get all the way up here. Okay? I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see this whole neck of the guitar and watch me do this full sweep. So we are down here. From that, we shouldn't really have to, you can if you want to, take your fingers off and then refine them up here. If you can afford it, it's a little bit of a slide all the way up here, because you'll notice that the position that my fingers are in for this last chord, for the first part of the verse, they're a very similar shape to how they need to be for the second part of the first part of the verse. So, it's just going to be a quick slide up to get your first finger onto the 10th fret where we know it's meant to be, and your third finger or fourth finger, I'm using the fourth one so don't be confused, you can use your third if you want, onto the 12th fret of the same strings. And then the fingerstyle pattern, as we already learnt, changes, okay? We don't do the thumb and second and then first anymore. We now do the thumb and second, thumb, first, thumb, second, first. For those of you that just know me and that seems like I'm skimming over that, we actually tackled that part first, so I already went in detail. You can consider one iteration or one cycle of that fingerstyle pattern this. Okay? That's one cycle of it. Again, just slowly, first and second together, thumb and first, thumb, second, first. And it happens twice, so there's two cycles of it. We move up here, we move up quickly, and another cycle. I'll just mention quickly a few of the ways that this, because I remember learning this song when I was sort of a beginner. I must have been something like 16 or something, and my guitar tutor taught it to me because I loved the song, and it was just a really great challenge because it's a new technique that you probably haven't done before because you're used to picking, and it's just such a intricate, complex song where your fingers are moving and there's different parts and it sounds really pleasing. So I went through the same sort of challenges and struggles as some of you might be doing when you're trying to learn this song. A few of the ways that you can just try to make quick improvements on making it less sloppy really quickly that you can focus on when you're practicing is, first of all, making sure this slide is as clean as possible, okay? If you're taking your fingers off, and while taking your fingers off to go up here, you're starting to pull some strings while you're doing it, and then you're bashing your fingers back on, and they're in the wrong place, and, you know, I butchered that as an exaggerated attempt, but if that's what's happening, you can focus in on trying to make that part really clean, because it's going to help you quite a lot. And it's a pretty dramatic part of the song. It's really nice. That slide seems to be a really emotional slide, it seems to me, when I listen to the song. So it's worth you trying to perfect it as best you can, getting it in time, getting it clean. When I say clean, I mean without notes being heard that shouldn't be heard in the process of you trying to slide your hand up there. Sometimes when you're sliding your hand across a guitar, even if it's a small distance, you're going from a chord that looks like this down to a chord that looks like this, and it's not a very big difference, but it's different fingers in different places. You can hit strings you're not meant to, and then it just doesn't sound as pleasant to the ear. So when I say clean, I just mean try to clean that up so that you're only hearing the notes that you're meant to be hearing. One other way that you're quickly going to clean this up to make it sound a little bit better, to make it sound a little less sloppy, I should say, is just making sure you're really using the tips of your fingers here, okay? If you're not using the tips of your fingers, for example, this really easy one to begin with, let me use it on this example as an exaggerated example, and then I'll show you how it's more realistically going to affect you. This first chord, third finger's on the 6th string on the 3rd fret. If I'm not using the very tip of my finger, if I'm going to really be lazy with this one and just flatly put my finger down, I'm still able to do that while touching the 3rd fret and pushing down on the 3rd fret to make a noise on that 6th string. But when I go to play these strings down here, my 3rd finger, because it's being lazy, is touching all of them, and it means that I can't get this really bright note of clarity where they're open strings. So trying to fix that up immediately, really using the tips of your fingers, making sure you're seeing a really nice arch from this finger, where it's kind of leaving the neck of the guitar, this flat plane of the guitar, in a pretty vertical fashion before it dips away and comes back into your hand. Make sure you do that. A more realistic way that's going to be a challenge for you is like somewhere up here, okay, where it requires us to have our 1st finger on, our 3rd or 4th finger, depending on which one you're using, on, but having an open string on the 3rd string here. Okay, this is where it's really important to use the tips of your fingers, because if I'm sloppy with my pinky or with my 3rd finger, whichever one you're doing, and while pushing down the 12th fret on the 2nd string, I'm also touching but not pushing down the 12th fret on the 3rd string, I'm not going to get the noise that I want from it, and then it doesn't sound as clear because there's a note missing in there. The same could be said about if my 1st finger was really sloppy and I didn't use this arch technique. If it was sloppy like this, it's going to cover the 3rd string down here. Again, not something I can just tell you and you can just fix overnight. It's something you're going to really have to practice on. But there are just a few of the things that you can hone in on when you're practicing, because you can know that these are the common challenges people find with stuff like this. So I'm going to focus my attention on fixing those, because I don't have to try and figure out what the problem is on my own. I already know the problem. Someone told me it. That's going to help me in expediting my way to be able to solve it. Oh, my first question. Do you have to play the 3rd string G before you change to every chord? Yeah, because the G we're not necessarily just using it as a bridge, sort of randomly. It's part of every strumming, every finger picking pattern. So this simple finger picking pattern that happens down here while we're changing our chords is thumb and 2nd finger, and then 1st finger playing the G alone. So that 1st finger playing the G is the last note you hear before you change chords to this one. Then there's that single G. Then we change another chord to this one. Single G. Then we move up here. Incidentally as well, that G also finishes this finger style pattern as well, because the last note in it is the 1st finger on the G. So yeah, to answer your question, Tom, you do have to play the 3rd string between each chord change. Okay, I'm just going to play this again really slowly. I was hoping to get to the second part of the verse, because that's just the first part of the verse. I guess it's the intro. Paul plays it once. And then he comes straight in singing. Verse starts. Second part of the verse. I'm gonna try and tackle that right now. That's a huge slice of the cake. Maybe I can do a future Instagram live video and try and tackle that a bit later, or you can try and learn it in a private session that you want to book with me or something. We can try and hit that song. But I'm just gonna play this part that we just learnt again really slowly. While I play it, I might slowly increase the speed as well, so you know maybe how you should be aiming now and how you should be aiming in the long term to how it would sound if you accomplished how to play it in time the way the Beatles play it. While I'm doing this, if you've got any questions, anything I need to reiterate, anything you don't understand that you think that I did say that I can reiterate, throw them my way. I'm just going to play this real quick and then try and just answer them all as they come in. Really slowly to begin with. Again. I should have mentioned as well the fact that I did say there's this huge extreme jump from this chord all the way up to this chord. Because we go up, we have to come down, so there's an extreme jump going from the end of this little beginner part of the verse sequence to then move back down here. Okay, sounds like, whoa, that's an extreme jump, how can I ever do that? But you just do it and you'll get easier at it, and it does require a bit of your attention to be looking. This isn't one of those songs that you're going to easily be able to play without looking or play in the dark. It's just one of those ones where you're going to be playing up here, then you're going to have to focus your attention on your left hand to make sure that you're getting it down to the right spot. It's a bit of a challenge to play in the dark. I'm going to start slow again, I'll move a little faster. I'm seeing the questions as they come in, by the way, and I'm going to get to them. A little faster. Little faster. Little faster, probably the speed of the song. Here we go. I'll try and do it without looking. We're not going to get to that part, but maybe you can tell from me playing that part that this complicated fingerstyle pattern that I'm doing, it's the same, like I said, it's the same fingerstyle pattern as up here. I'm just changing where my left hand fingers are positioned. So it's this fingerstyle pattern that is the fundamental fingerstyle pattern that carries us throughout the whole song. Other than that, there's a really simple one that I've already shown you, that's your thumb and your second finger playing together and your first finger playing afterwards. The only other one, Tanner said, my fingers feel jumbled after that. Yeah, they're gonna feel jumbled. Welcome to fingerstyle. This is one that like definitely drains you a lot more because there's a lot more movement and in an energy sense than what you're doing with a pick, and there's a ton more concentration than what you're doing with a pick, which is really just going down and going up and going down and going up. That's pretty much fundamentally all you're doing with a pick. Fingerstyle now, we have so much more to think about. It takes way more coordination. Someone asked a question a little higher up, a song suggestion for beginners. Seeing as we're on the topic of the Beatles, because this is an incredible intermediate to advanced song by the Beatles, Blackbird. Some of the easier songs, they have a ton of easy songs as well. That's sort of how they're so well regarded. They make simple songs really catchy, really awesome. Let It Be is a really simple one that is just a pretty comprehensible strumming pattern, and chords that really they're quite repeatable, and chords that don't really change from this look. A chord looks like this, and then it looks like this, then it looks like this, and then there's one that looks like this, a G chord, okay? But most of them are all happening down here, and it's with a pick as well. So you're just doing something like down, 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 up, down, up. Let It Be is a pretty easy one. So if you want to try and learn that on your own, you might be able to. Maybe look up a tab, or you can hit us up if there's enough demand. Maybe we'll teach it. I'm happy to teach you as well. I taught Let It Be like 2 months ago to a private student. It sounds weird, a private student. Over a private lesson. A student over a private lesson. Online, through the music gym. She used to come to the music gym. She wanted to learn Let It Be, and we learned it, and she got a whole lot better at it. That's a good segue for me to re-mention, as the music gym, we're doing a bit of a lockdown sale at the moment. Okay, we're giving a 20% reduction to our 5 private lesson pack that we normally have. 20% off what it normally is. It's normally $340 for 5 45-minute lessons. It's going to be $270 for 5 45-minute lessons. 45 minutes is a good amount. You really get drained after 45 minutes, and you walk away being like, I learned something and I am pooped. So that's awesome. They'll all be done as the word lockdown, the label lockdown sale might indicate. They're all going to be done online, which works really well. I've been doing a lot of them. If you're interested, go onto our website. You can find all the information there. You can even purchase it there, or send us a message, and we'll reiterate what I just said, and we can talk about it further, and we can talk about what you want to learn. It's obviously really flexible. You pick the time, as long as it's fine with me or any of the instructors that you want to learn it with. Bob's your uncle. We just keep going, and we can do the same time every week, or we can do new times. Okay, is that all for questions? I think, other than comments about our fingers hurting, which my fingers kind of hurt too. Yeah, I think that's all the questions we've got. Okay, new question. What are your favorite intermediate songs that you learnt ever? Okay, well, I was thinking about, I wanted to do an intermediate class. I know a lot of you that follow the music gym, or maybe come to the music gym, are beginners, but I don't know, I want to do an Instagram live video that tackled a intermediate class. And so I was going through a couple that seemed pretty appropriate. I mean, I love a lot of songs, but some of them just aren't really well packaged for you to teach, because maybe they're dependent a lot more on the style of you playing, or something that's a little bit more inherent. But a couple of ones that I was going through were sort of brainstorming. I ended up choosing Blackbird. Are Drive by Incubus. It goes like this. That's called Drive by Incubus. It's a good song. I remember learning that when I was like 15 or something like that, and loved that song. I also thought of the idea of teaching Why Georgia by John Mayer. I love a lot of John Mayer's music. I think he's done a ton of different kinds of stuff, and I like most of it. Why Georgia is another fingerstyle one, although it doesn't have to be. It can kind of be one that you use a pick as well as your fingers, but you need to use your fingers. Sounds like this. That one's probably more like an advanced one. It's pretty hard. Running off the Beatles as well. I mean, Yesterday is a really complex chord progression and form. something like that. I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but that's an awesome song. Again, put these in requests if you want. If you want me to teach them, we can do another one of these. I don't know, maybe in a week or in a fortnight or something. I can teach yesterday. It's going to be another intermediate one, and it's another fingerstyle-y one where we let go of the pick and we go back to fingerstyle. That was sort of the era of that Beatles stuff, the late 60s, Simon Garfunkel stuff, tons of fingerstyle stuff going on. Anywho, I think that's enough jibber-jabbering out of me for tonight, and I thank you all for tuning in and hopefully learning with me. I hope you got something out of this. This video is going to be available on our story for the next 24 hours. I think that's how it works. And you feel free to send some questions if you need something reiterated. If you're watching it again, you're like, I forgot to ask a question, I wish I did. Yeah, send it my way, and I will read them, and I'll send it right back to you. Oh, one more thing. I saw the word Radiohead, and my eyes perked up. How about a beautiful Radiohead song? Oh man, there are just so many easy Radiohead songs to do. I will end this soon, but I'm just gonna brag about Radiohead for a sec. No Surprises is pretty easy and pretty fun. There's a whole chord progression after that. It's great. Isn't Karma Police good? I don't know, massive Radiohead fan. I once took it upon myself to try and learn 2 full albums of them, and I probably got like halfway through the second album. It was Kid A, which is just crazy technical, and you're like, I can't learn this. It's a little too hard. But some songs are really achievable, and they're great. Alright, once again, I'm going to tune out. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and remember, reiterate, our lockdown sale, 20% off 5 private sessions. If you're interested, go on our website, send us a message, whichever way you want to do, communicate through Instagram or communicate through just going on our webpage, whichever you prefer. But the information's available everywhere. Happy to do lessons with you if you want as well. If you want me specifically, or if you used to come to the music gym and you know some instructors that used to be your favorites, hit them up as well. We're doing that across all of our stuff that we taught as well. So there's guitar. We don't just teach guitar. I only teach guitar. But we're also doing piano lessons, keyboard lessons, and vocal lessons all over Zoom, all over the internet, online, one-on-one. It's great. All right, no more questions, and thanks for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. Maybe next week or whatever, I can continue with Blackbird or a private lesson. Cheerio, and stay safe, everyone. How do I end this? Bye.